Something fried. Ooh, it's the battery. I got it. I unplugged it. Good thing I didn't burn the whole quad up. Alright, I'm gonna try it next with the 3 blade props. What do you think? It looks good, right?
Yeah.
With the 3. I don't think those other ones are good because I think they're bending too much when I go full throttle, but it's making things shake, so maybe these will be better. All right, so thoughts on this thing? Well, it survived. First of all, I did have a couple little weird things that happened, like the antenna trying to go a bit longer range was maybe not placed in a good position. There was a couple times I was getting low signal on it. But then I put them in this orientation where basically when the drone is facing up, I have signal that's pointing back down to me for wherever I'm flying. And then if I'm doing flippy floppies, this antenna here should cover the rest of the range. I think that might have fixed the problem. So another thing I noticed is whenever I was doing punch outs, the quad was giving me some sort of vibration in the camera. But once I changed props, that stopped happening. So I think what's up is those props are really bendy, the bibe blades that I have. So they're not really good for something torquey like this, where when you do a punch out, maybe the props were just like bending enough to where it was causing all of this vibration. Not happening with these 3-blade props, so it flew a lot better. It really did feel pretty damn smooth. I mean, I kind of threw it around in a lot of different orientations to see if I could get it to do what the other quad did in desync or have some sort of issue. Obviously, there's like a difference with these motors. The only other motors that I've flown that are 1700 kV are the Zing motors from iFlight. And the first time I hit grass, the bell housing came popped up because it's like a two-piece thing. And anyway, those of you guys who have used those know what I'm talking about. So I'd returned them. I ended up getting my other racing motors, the RS motors that I really like from Emax. Those are still alive. The only time I ever mess those motors up is if I hit the ground really hard and bend something on them. Anyway, outside of crashes, as far as this goes, when it goes to flying at 17 kV, when the Zing motors that I had on a 4-cell, it just felt weak, right? Like whenever you would do punch outs or anything like that, these motors don't. These motors feel really good. Another thing I noticed is they don't eat a ton of battery either. The other motors that I use seem to eat battery a lot quicker than these do. The torquey low end side of these motors are also great. Anytime I did any kind of harsh turns and stopped immediately, the quad would stop. And you can see that in the video. I also took my time to do everything I possibly could to make sure that this quad had everything perfect on it so that I wouldn't have any issues, except there's one thing that I don't like about this. I had to push the capacitor through the bottom to kind of make everything fit, because otherwise it wouldn't fit underneath the DJI Air unit here. I could barely fit the wires in the receiver. At the moment, the way it sits with these white TPU protectors that are on the bottom here, they keep the quad just up enough to where that capacitor's like, it's touching, but barely touching. It's mainly the glue, because I put hot glue on it. So that's basically what's touching. I don't know, maybe I can print some out that go up a little bit higher to give it kind of legs or something, so that anytime I land, I don't really have to worry about it. Also, having these a little bit longer, it might create a little bit more drag depending on maybe how I design them, but also it might be good for landing or hard landings or anything, so it makes it a little bit quieter. Since it'll be a TPU, it'll be rubbery, right? So it'll be like these little landing pads for it. I'll try it out. I'll see how it affects it. I do really like this True X frame. I don't like that the props get into the frame of the camera, but it does fly a lot better because of it being a True X. I do really like how the camera looks with the Dead Cat style frame. It's kind of apart in pieces right now. These nifty motor protectors that it comes with, I like those as well. Keeps dirt and grass from getting up inside the motors. Because, you know, whenever I fly, I usually fly in places with a lot of either dirt, little rocks, or sand, or, you know, there's like grass, whatever. I'm not usually flying on like flat surfaces. This will keep a lot of that out of there, I think. We'll see how much better it really does. Today's flight, I hit the grass a couple times. I did some return to homes. Not sure what's going on with this iFlight GPS I'm using. I mean, it works. I threw it into return to home and it was coming home. It found satellites very easily. I was able to get enough satellites to get up in the air real quick. So I do like that. However, it was going the wrong way. Another thing, when I checked, and I'll have to see on the OSD how I have it set up, it looked like when I was flying away from me, the arrow was also pointing away from me. The arrow is supposed to turn around and point towards me when I'm flying away, which means it's pointing back home. So if I get lost, I could turn around and follow the arrow back home. I think it's doing the opposite of that, so I think that might be what's going on. There's probably something in the software that I can do that, though. I'm going to check it out. Yeah, something wasn't right because it had my location correct. But whenever I took off, it was thinking that I was over by where the cows were and it was trying to fly me into the trees. This thing doesn't have a name yet. Inside of the goggles, I do have it named Speedy at the time just because it's a Speedy Bee flight controller in here. Pretty much everything about this drone is different outside of a couple little things that don't really matter. Different motors, different frame, different flight controller, different GPS. It's just pretty much a different setup. You know, the speed of the motors are different than what I'm used to flying. I did really enjoy flying these motors on the 6S though. It feels great. Battery power was great. And thank you, Calico, for the battery fund. Was able to get another battery. Got it ordered and on its way here, so that'll help keep this little guy up in the air. Maybe I'll do a couple live streams with it. There's a couple little tuning settings I'm still trying to tweak out. I got a couple little wobbles while I was flying, but overall, pretty good. I'm happy with it. I think it looks pretty fucking cool. I'm probably going to change this out to some new ones because, you know, this looks all scuffed, but the rest of the quad looks nice. Another cool thing about this flight controller that I really like is that I can connect it through Bluetooth on my cell phone. So I can connect it to the Betaflight app directly, just using Bluetooth, and change all my tuning settings. I don't have to bring a cable with me. I do have to plug it in though in order to be able to do that. So I give it power, I can change some settings and then take off and fly. What else? I do have my antenna set up different. Before I used to have this V antenna on the arm, and I got great reception with it. I never had any problems. I mean, it's not like I was trying to go many miles away anyway. The most I ever go away was like 2 miles, and then I'd come back. But I know the antennas are supposed to be set up in this style of orientation where where they're like 90 degrees to each other. Or this one's going this way. These are going this way. It's gonna, you know, whatever, fucking signals and shit. So I get concerned about whether or not it's gonna affect anything with the GPS, being that the signals are right there. Maybe that's something causing a problem with the GPS. I'll have to see. And then, you know, you got all these antennas right here, all right next to each other. That's kind of shitty. I don't like that about this setup. So if it causes me problems, maybe I'll try something different, move the antennas around and see how it reacts. Another thing I was thinking it could be is that possibly needs to be recalibrated. I'm thinking maybe I forgot to calibrate something properly. So I'll go ahead and check those settings at Betaflight. But at the moment, this is the setup. It's got also in the flight controller, it's got the option for me to program LEDs so that I can change colors and maybe flashes and stuff with a switch on the controller, which would be pretty dope. I do have LEDs. I'll probably add some on here and maybe do some cool little recordings of it. But yeah, it looks pretty sick. I mean, it's a fucking drone. Whatever. It's a little 5-inch drone. It flies great. Right now, it's amazing. I haven't crashed it a bazillion times, so I'm loving it. Thank you guys for the donation of the awesome parts to keep this thing up in the air. And I'll keep making some badass videos to share with you guys with it. I've actually got some ideas of some cool stuff coming up soon. Subscribe and like and all that bull crap so you can be notified whenever I make a new video about this thing or myself or whatever the hell I choose to videotape about.
gossip, blah blah. Gossip, blah blah. For the gossip, blah blah.